More recently, I would say like when my mom was like sick just not too long ago, I took her to the doctor's office and like she's just asking me like all these questions and stuff like that. And it made my heart like so like I was just so like, oh, I got so emotional because I'm like, oh man, like I remember I would look up to her just asking her all these questions. And then like, now it's just like the opposite. And I'm like, oh man, like that hurts. And so like seeing like someone of like such that you held at such a like high level of strength, you know, and now they're getting older and then like you could see it like on their just like face.
They just like don't know what to do.
I think just growing up in an immigrant family, like it really made me appreciate like all the little things in life. Like I know my family, like they provided like the best life for us as possible. And so, cause like I would see like the way that we were raised with the values we were raised and just like also compare myself to like a lot of and I'm like, oh, you guys like really are different in compared to us.
Kind of takes you back of like, whoa, like, or like wearing shoes in the house.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Every time I would go over to a friend's house, I'd always take my shoes off.
I would too, but they're like, don't do that. And I'm like,
that's weird. That's nasty. He's gonna wear those same shoes upstairs? That's gross.
Welcome to From Home to Here, where we dive deep into the compelling stories of immigrants and children of immigrants to shift the narrative and break the silence barrier. I'm Colmel, your podcast host, and together we'll explore the journeys that shape and define us. Today, our podcast guest is Iqbal Singh. Born and raised in Kansas City, he's a passionate photographer and videographer with 8 years of experience in visual storytelling. As an honors graduate from UMKC with a degree in film and media arts, his life has always been dedicated to capturing life's most meaningful moments through his lens. Coming from an immigrant background, Balias was taught that hard work and honesty would take him far and that he should pursue anything he puts his heart and mind to. With these values guiding Bali, his journey has led him to explore various photography specialties, including journalism, sports, and weddings, each shaping his vision and deepening his love for the craft. What started as a passion has now become Bali's career, and through his life, he strives to transform moments into timeless works of art. Welcome to the podcast, Bali.
Hello.
Well, first off, I want to start off by just learning more about you and your background. So you were born and raised in Kansas City, but your roots are in an immigrant family. So tell us about your family's journey to the United States and how that shaped your upbringing.
Oh man. Okay. So, I think I first have to start off like with my mom. She, obviously her being born in India, but then coming to the United States at a very young age. I think she was like 6 or 7 when she came here. So she was really young.
Yeah.
And so she went through pretty much like elementary school or like middle school, high school, like that whole like area, or elementary school too. And for her, it's like her being raised here like really solidified her as just like seeing the other side as well, like of seeing like what the United States is like. And then whenever she would go back home, like she could see the difference between that. And then versus like my dad, he was born and raised in India and he went to college in India too. And so for them, it's a little different. I would say like for my dad, like what he had to go through and what he had to like, oh man. Actually, can I repeat the question again too?
Yeah.
If that's all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's start off with your background.
Okay.
You were born and raised in Kansas City, but your roots are in an immigrant family. So tell us about how your family's journey to the United States not only impacted them, but also your upbringing in life.
Okay. I would say like I would definitely say my mom and dad, like their journey to the United States was definitely very different from one another. Obviously my mom being born in India but then raised here in the United States, and then my dad being the complete opposite of being born in India and then being raised there. And so and then obviously them getting like married at such a young age. Like I think my mom was like 18 or 19, and then like my dad, so like super young.
Yeah.
And so and then my dad going to college in India. Like I think the differences were just so like super unique. And so I think those differences between them two specifically like really shaped a lot of the stuff that like we were taught when we were growing up. Like I know for a fact like my mom and dad like they taught us a lot of like key values that like even I still uphold today. And I feel like it makes me realize like more and more like when I think about it, like their journey to the United States was just like so pivotal for like us, especially like like I feel like coming from like an immigrant family, you have to like make it like you basically have to like work your ass off like the whole time. Like you really have to like make it and basically for them. And so I mean, it's so hard to say like yeah, it's just really hard to say. It's
No,
really hard
it's
to
totally
say.
understandable. What were some of like key memories growing up with your parents of like some of those values that they instilled in you that you still hold?
I would say a lot of the values that they definitely taught us like growing up was just like always working hard, like always having to just like put your best foot forward, and like even if you fail, like it's okay, like you can get back up and try again. And I think that specifically that last one like is so, for me especially growing up, it's like I know I was like constantly trying to like do new things, try new things, and so like I would always fail and then like try to get back up. And so like my mom and dad were like super uh like very encouraging at a young age for us. And so like nothing felt like impossible to us. Like if we had anything that we wanted to try, like it wasn't impossible.
For sure.
And so yeah.
What were some of those like early passions?
Oh man, like I was really into like I think being like a I was really like, okay, I was really into like Legos and stuff like that when I was little. Like I love painting and stuff like that, drawing. Like I was a creative like from such a young age. And I knew I didn't strive like that well in like math, sciences and stuff like that. Like I'll get by,
Yeah.
but like
It wasn't the first thing.
100%. Like, I mean, like I was really good at writing too.
Yeah.
And so like my like creative writing like really got started to like pick up like in high school and stuff
I
like
remember
that.
being the same way. My brother was really good at the maths and the sciences, and everybody else in my family was just so STEM. And I go into school and I'm like, what is this? Oh, it's not making sense. 1+1 is not equal.
I know. Cause like when you grow up, like especially in a household where like everyone is doing something completely different,
Yeah.
you get judged so hard. And then like when you like start having like cousins and stuff over that are like, oh, I'm a doctor, oh, I'm an engineer, then you're like, oh, you're like, I don't really do that well with that type of stuff. Like I can't. So it's like, but yeah, I think just growing up, like I was really into like a lot of the creative stuff. Like
Yeah.
I like building stuff like out of random, like even like with Legos. I remember I used to like, I still love Legos till today, but I remember I used to like build the set and then like completely make something completely
My
different.
cousins did that all the time, and it would make me so mad.
Mhm.
They had so many like Lego sets, and they would make them, and then it would be decor in their rooms, and they would always want like the bigger set. Or like
100%.
my brother made like some like big plane
Yeah.
that when we moved to Kansas, he didn't want to like dismantle the plane.
Yeah.
So we put it back in its original box, completely built, and like transported it here.
Did it make it back?
They did make it back.
Oh, that's clutch.
But like I have memories of just all of my cousins just being really deep into Legos.
Yeah.
Being like, yeah.
Yeah, there's so much fun. I mean, like it really allows like even as like an adult now, it's like I'll go to the store. Like, okay, I'm that guy that like goes to the Target aisle and just be like, oh man, look at all these different Legos. Like I could I'm like, it's like I have the money to purchase now, so I'm like, oh, I might get it, but like I feel like I just like start getting into like the smaller sets and stuff like that with the flowers and decor. So I could just have those around the house. I'm like, oh, it's a Lego set. So but yeah.
How did kind of all of those experiences and then growing up in Kansas City as a child of immigrants, which like I grew up in New York City, very different experiences. So
Yeah.
how did that shape your outlook on life?
I think just growing up in an immigrant family, like it really made me appreciate like all the little things in life. Like I know my family, like they provided like the best life for us as possible. And I know like growing up, like there was a lot of moments like where we made mistakes and like that there was a lot of stuff that like we could have done better at, but it's not like they punished us super bad for anything like that. And I think just growing up in Kansas City, like with coming from an immigrant background, it made me appreciate life so much more. And so, cause like I would see like the way that we were raised with the values we were raised and just like also compare myself to like
Your
a lot of
peers?
yeah. And I'm like, oh, you guys like really are different in compared to us. Like, for example, like I would go over to a friend's house and like, their parents or something like that wouldn't like ask us like, oh, do you guys want anything to eat, versus like if anyone came over to my house.
That's a big one.
Yeah,
That's a big
right.
one.
Like my parents would like always ask all my friends like, do you
They
guys
wouldn't
want
even ask. They would just like
bring
fruit.
it, right? Like bring fruit, bring drinks, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I started like realizing like, yo, why are all of my friends coming over to my house? Because it's like my mom would always give them food.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, dang, okay. Like I think just little things like that. It's like those like values that like you've had like growing up that you wouldn't even think about.
Yeah.
It's like to someone else like that's completely different.
And so much of it is like cultural, right? Like
100%.
bringing food is like a sign of love,
Mm-hmm.
especially
Yeah.
for, like parents. And
Yeah.
when you're so used to just that,
Yep.
and then now you're exposed to an environment where like, not that environment's bad, it's just different.
Oh, yeah.
Just like their ways of expressing care or love. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, like
It's
they're
different.
just different.
It's so different.
It kind of takes you back of like, whoa, like, or like wearing shoes in the house.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Every time I would go over to a friend's house, I'd always take my shoes off.
I would too, but they're like, don't do that. And I'm like,
that's weird. That's nasty. He's gonna wear those same shoes upstairs. That's gross.
yeah.
But no, I could never.
Yeah.
Never. But I think just like a lot of stuff like that, like those values that like you wouldn't even think about, that like those really shape you like and make you who you are, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, just there's so many things like just little things like that, especially. And then just like the relationship that I have with my mom and dad is just like, it's so important to me because it's like they are my backbone and like I do rely on them a lot. And versus like obviously someone who like some of my buddies, like they moved out as soon as they like hit 18, they're done out. And I'm like, dang, like I'm still at home. Like I'm still like, yeah, I'm at home, but I'm taking care of my family. Like I'm making sure like they're okay. Like I cook all the meals and stuff like that. So
the like traditions, the practices, and the expectations are different too. It's not just like, oh, you turn 18 and like you can still live in our house and like we provide for you everything. But there's in different cultures, like you hit certain ages of maturity.
Yeah.
Where you slowly start taking on the responsibilities. And like that also becomes a burden of like,
100%.
I'm now like the next one in line to like take care of my parents. And now like slowly, like my dad is picking up less shifts. And so now I have to pay the bills and like it slowly you get bigger responsibilities that come with living in like big families,
100%.
Big cultural families.
And I feel like as my like parents have been getting older, like the more and more I like it, more recently, I would say like when my mom was like sick just not too long ago, I took her to the doctor's office and like she's just asking me like all these questions and stuff like that. And it made my heart like so like, I was just so like, oh, I got so emotional because I'm like, oh man, like I remember I would look up to her just asking her all these questions. And then like, now it's just like the opposite. And I'm like, oh man, like that hurts.
Yeah.
And so like seeing like someone of like such that you held at such a like high level of strength, you know, and now they're getting older and then like you could see it like on their just like face.
They just like don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do. And it's just like then they look to you and you're just like, oh man, like it hurts. I would say it's like it's very heartwarming, but then it's also like super.
So my parents are getting old.
Yeah.
And they like need me.
I know. And it's like, and it makes you realize that you're like, dang, like I think I'd like staying home makes the most sense because it's like if they provided like the best life for you possible, like why can't I provide the best like life for them now? It's like the remainder of their life, you know? And so, yeah.
I had the same thing happen actually yesterday. I took my dad to a doctor's appointment and doctor talks to us, whatever. And typically, like I take him to all of his appointments and he doesn't understand English very well. And so I'm usually communicating with the doctor. But this time the doctor was just very good at explaining things. And so my dad was able to communicate with him and we walk out and I'm like, so did you understand like everything or like, do you need clarification? And he was like, I got most of it. And I was like, okay, well, like, what'd they say? And he was like, well, so like, and I was like, right. And so I was explaining to them like what happened and like what he needed to do. And he just like looked at me with like puppy eyes and I was just like, that just breaks my heart. Like
it really does.
It's like you took care of me when I was like at my most vulnerable stage, just like in life as a kid.
Yeah.
And now
all
the tables have turned.
I know. And it's like, it makes my heart so heavy because I'm like, for instance, like my mom and dad, like they don't English, like they don't even have accents. And so like then sometimes like even like how like in that example, um it's so different because like, oh man, it's like they look to you now as if like when we were looking to them, you know? And you're just like, oh man, like it makes my heart just so heavy, just so heavy. I just have like I cried literally when I got her when I took her into the doctor's office and like I walked out and then I was just like I was bawling. I was like, oh man, I can't handle that. That makes my heart so heavy.
Yeah,
But
it's very valid. I think it comes with just like growing up in close families.
oh yeah, especially just growing up like in an immigrant family, like those values that you learned, like even that they learned back home,
Yeah.
like those are still getting like taught to the next generation, and then like I know that's still gonna get taught to the next generation on the generations coming. So
I just remembered, even with like the conversation about hitting different stages of life, I feel like I hit like my first one of taking care of the family when we had guests over. And my mom was we had like cooked this was super last minute. There were guests from Maryland. We didn't know they were coming. We found out the day before.
Yeah.
And this was the one day we could invite them. It was a Sunday. It was the only day that worked for my entire family.
Yeah.
And so we invited them that Sunday. On Saturday, we invite them over for Saturday night for Sunday night. And so, I mean, when we cook like feast. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
like 4 rounds of appetizers and then like a big dinner. And so we're trying to like restart grocery shopping that night at like 10. And I help my mom. We all help my mom cook throughout the day. And the guests come and everybody's sitting down. And I just start like doing stuff in the kitchen. Like I start making the jaw, the tea, and then I start giving out the water. And as I'm waiting for the jaw to like boil, it like hit me. I was like,
I'm doing what I didn't think I would ever do.
I was like, this used to like my mom used to do this. Like I used to sit down and
I know.
And I was so taken aback. And I was like, that I feel like I've reached like a different level of like
see, I hit that level when my sister got married.
Yeah.
When she got married and when she moved out, like then it was me, Breath Ball, and then my little sister Amin. And so like us three being at home, I was like, oh man, like Josh like did everything. Like she was doing everything for my mom and dad, and like she would always like cook, clean, etc. And I remember like I saw that and that shift in the house, and then I was like, oh, I think I should like pick up like some of the stuff that like my sister used to do and then do that for mom. So like I started like fixing everyone's beds, like folding clothes, like washing clothes, like cooking. And then I think that's where like my whole like cooking craze came out of nowhere, was just like because my sister was always cooking. And so then now it's like it's gotten to a point where my mom's like, hey, what are you gonna cook for dinner? I'm like, oh wait, what? I was like, oh, I wasn't planning on it. She's just like, wait, why not? I'm like, oh, I didn't know it was like that. Like, okay. But yeah, it's just like you don't even realize that you're taking up the roles that like
they start passing down responsibilities and you're just like,
you're like, wait,
no.
Yeah, I know. It's like, weren't you supposed to go grocery shopping? It's like, wait, I thought that was your job. It's like, wait, what's going on? I can't do that now. But I mean, just like those little things, it's like you don't even realize it, and then they just happen to fall on you.
Yeah, and like I would say those little things are so incredibly important too, to like coming from an immigrant background, because like back in India, our families used to live, like the brothers used to live together and be 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Y'all live together.
Generations. Yeah.
Generations in the same house.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously things have changed now, being in a diaspora, being in America, like that's just really not sustainable to live.
And I mean, 100%. It's like, it's just not sustainable. And I mean, it just depends, because like everyone's like their own livelihoods, like people want privacy and stuff like that, which I get it. And so there's just a lot of stuff like that that just plays an account with it now. So yeah.
Well, I want to transition a little bit into your journey as a photographer and videographer. Clearly, growing up, you were very creative, and that's obviously influenced what you do now in life, still being in a very creative field. And you have 8 years in visual storytelling, which is incredible amount of experience. Yeah. So when did you first realize that photography and videography was more than just a hobby?
Oh man, it's crazy. I would say it definitely started out, I would say pretty late for me. It was like right around like sophomore year of high school. And
it's not late.
I would say late for me, just because like I think everything that I was thinking I was gonna do in life was completely did a 180. And so I would say like sophomore year of high school, it's so funny though. I remember I was going through a breakup at that time, and I was just like really just not in a like good state at all. Like I was just really upset and everything of what happened. And I remember like I had this one buddy of mine, he'd asked me like he noticed that like there was a change in me, and he was just like, "Hey bro, like what's going on?" And I told him the whole story, the situation, and he's just like, "I think you should just pick up a new hobby. Just try something, just you never know." And I think from there I just started like watching just like all these different like YouTube videos and like about just like pretty much everything, like painting, pottery. Like I was gonna go try something.
Yeah.
And then one day on Instagram, like at that time, Instagram was so like brand new.
Yeah.
And I was scrolling and I saw this like one photographer that I like uh who posted this one picture of this one like beautiful lake in Canada, Moraine Lake, or Lake Louise, sorry. And I was like so just drawn by it. I was just like, oh my God, like that's so gorgeous. Like who took this picture? And so then I click on the page and there's this guy like Peter McKinnon, and I'm like, oh my God, like who is this guy? Right. And so I click on his page. He had a link in the bio, and like it was a YouTube page where he had like all these tutorials and just like all this stuff of like just photography base. And I was just like, whoa, like that's insane. Like I'm gonna just, and so I just started watching, and just like the way that he spoke was just so motivational, like, and just like the way that he just like told his whole story was just so interesting to me. And I think from there, like I just picked up, I was just like, you know what, like I'm gonna just try photography. So then I started taking pictures like on my camera, like on my phone camera.
Yeah.
And then from there just kind of like started saving my money, etc., like that. And I got like my first camera. I was working at like a sandwich shop at the time, so I would save like my money and stuff like that from tips. And so I bought my first camera, and then yeah, just from there, just like started just trying everything out, just started to get better and better at it. And then like my family started to notice, especially my grandpa at the time. Like my grandpa was like one of my like biggest role models in my life. And every time I would take something, I would always go show him and just talk to him about it. And so he was like the type of guy that he was, like he always inspired me so much to like try something new. So like every time I would show him like some of my work, he'd be like, "Oh man, like this is amazing." He's like, "Even I didn't know that you could do this." And I was like, "I didn't know either." And so but yeah, I would say like he was like one of the biggest like inspirations for me, like very early on, like in that.
Yeah.
When I was trying stuff out, just trying to stuff or trying to take pictures that like I wasn't like really qualified for. So but yeah.
So, I mean, like coming from an immigrant background, obviously there's an expectation of like be a doctor, be an engineer, be a lawyer.
100%.
I don't know what else fits in that bucket, but that's
Yeah.
the main three.
Yeah.
But creative fields aren't really acknowledged or even appreciated.
They're not even spoken about. Yeah.
One, what was that experience like? And then two, what did it mean to have the support of your grandfather and your family in the journey?
I would say I think my family really realized like college, right around in college, like freshman year, that what I was doing was far more than just taking pictures. Like they noticed very early on. And then like at that time, like my grandpa was actually sick. He had stage 4 liver cancer. And so he was basically like in his last like 2 years of life. And so I remember always coming home from JUCO and going to his room where he was always going to be, and I would always talk to him about like, oh, this is what I learned in like just regular psychology classes and stuff like that. And because my original plan was I wasn't planning on doing anything in the creative field at all. And I was going to try to do something with like working with kids with special needs, because like that's what I was coming out of from high school. And so when I would come home, I would show him all this stuff that like that we were doing, and like all these extra classes that I would take for just like film photo stuff. And he was just like, "You seem very interested in just that stuff." He's like, "Why don't you just do it?" And I was like, and I didn't even think about it. I was just like, "Oh, I could do that as a career." And he's just like, anything can be a career as long as you put your mind to it,
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay. And so as soon as I like started taking them like classes at JUCO like more seriously, like started to transition out of like the regular like psychology and all that stuff like that into just like film photo stuff, like it really made me realize I was like, dang, like, okay, like this is something I really enjoy doing. Like I wake up and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go work on this project with everybody, with all my peers in class. And then for my family, like they were super supportive. Like I think I was so shocked about that because like obviously the stigma of like your parents are gonna be like, oh, you gotta be a doctor, you gotta be a lawyer or an engineer or whatever it may be. And it's just like I think they really realized that like my specialties were elsewhere and that like I was passionate about things outside of like the norm. And so they were super like happy that like I found something that I loved doing. And so for me, like that meant a lot. And so, and then like, especially like my grandpa, like he was super proud regardless of what I did. And so for me, like coming home, like taking care of him, like it really like kind of like transformed my outlook on life because like he knows that he's sick and then I also know that he's sick, but like the way that he was still so supportive throughout like his last 2 years of life, like especially for me, because he knew that like I needed that push and like that if he wasn't there, I know for a fact that like I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
I think like with the whole stigma of doctor, engineer, whatever that our parents and our elders place on us, it's from a good spot. Like it really is.
It is from a
like
good heart. Yeah.
we didn't have the ability to go to school or we didn't have the ability to pursue these things. And so we want our kids to have a better life.
Yeah.
And especially with like our grandparents, they came from a time where things were really, really difficult in India. And then coming to America, things have changed. But I feel like that support of your grandfather is like, I feel like part of him
Oh yeah.
kind of living through you.
It really was because like he was a creative himself. I'm not gonna lie. Like he was very into writing. Like I mean, this man's signature was one of one. Like it could never be copied. Like he had the most perfect signature I've ever seen. His penmanship was beautiful. Like he was a poet, and so like he would always talk to me about like his writings and stuff like that, like growing up, and I was like, dang, like he was really him, like he was that guy. And so he was just such a character, and like just seeing like him just get so excited through like my work made me so happy because then I was like, okay, I gotta strive to like do
It makes it worth it. It feels like we're doing this for like a bigger reason than
oh
just
100%.
taking pictures.
100%. It's not about just taking the picture. I felt like it was like every time I would take the picture, I was just like, just looking forward to go show him.
Yeah.
That was just like my biggest thing. I was just like, I know he'd be so proud to see it. And so that was just like my biggest thing. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He was such a sweetheart. Such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
But
well, taking that like passion that your grandfather instilled in you and then going ahead and full sending it and doing it in college, how did studying film and media at UMKC kind of perfect your craft in a way?
I would say going into it, like I thought I knew everything. I was like, oh man, I know everything. Like I'm too good at this, right? Because I was doing it outside of like the college like space. And so for me, it's like I didn't expect college to really teach me much out of like my career.
Yeah.
And so I thought like personally going into it, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna learn much. I'm not gonna kind of get anything out of this, like something that like you can just learn by yourself. But I think my grandpa, again, same thing. He was really adamant about me going to college and just going into that space to like learn with others. And so he really wanted me to get a college degree first off. And he was just like, you can't just leave school. And so I'm like, okay, like I understand that. But he was always pushing me to just like go to college, like just go to college, get your degree. It's going to be worth it. Trust me. And as much as I hated that, I was like, okay, I'll go. And so, but yeah, no, UMKC was great. It was a great space for me to just like learn not only with like my peers and stuff like that, but it also made me just learn so much about like the field, like because it's not like it's not like your average classroom where you're just sitting with like 200-300 people in a giant lecture hall. Like it's like only 20 people and trying to
intimate. Yeah.
it's just super intimate. It's just like it's a one-on-one type of situation with the professor. And so we're learning about like films, we're studying film, like old films, we're learning to write about films. And it was very like productions heavy. So we learned pretty much like everything that you would see like on your normal TV shows, like the behind the scenes though of it, of like how they film it, how they sound, the color, everything. And so learning all that was such an eye opener to me, because I was just like, I was coming from just photo stuff and like, oh, I could just do this to a picture, but the whole other realm of like videography was just so different to just come into. And so but it really changed like my whole perspective on college. I was just like, dang, like it was really worth it. Like it was worth the go. And now looking back, like now that I graduated like not too long ago, I think about like my grandpa, like when I was walking across stage specifically, like as soon as I like shook like the chancellor's hand, like I was thinking about my grandpa immediately. And I know that as soon as like I walked across, I'm like, oh man, I know he's in his like head. Like I know he would say it to me directly. He's like, I told you it was worth it. And so I was like, dang, like I really did learn a lot. Like I learned a lot about myself as a person, as a creative, like, and it just made me appreciate the craft so much more outside of just like what I had already previously known. So
Even just college in general, it's so much more than attending classes and
oh yeah,
learning the skill or learning whatever you're majoring in. Like that is a part of college.
yeah.
I would argue not the biggest part, but it is certainly a big chunk of it. It's so much more about exploring yourself, exploring your passions, exploring your hobbies, and learning how to like mesh that all together, exploring how you want to show up in this world, like who you want to
100%.
be as a
Yeah,
person.
100%. And I did not expect like to learn to do the things that I did like at all. Like I remember I took a class that I did not even expect myself to like even like at first, but because when I first entered that class, it was Comm Studies 356. And I walk in and there's this professor, his name is Steve Krowski. He's super well known in like the community. And it was a newspaper class. And I was just like, oh, like this is weird. I didn't know this was a newspaper class. And then basically like the first week goes by, like you have to pick up stories and stuff like that. You have to either write about them or do pictures or whatever it may be. And there was a story about like a coffee shop, like a brand new coffee shop that opened up. So I was like, yo, I might just go check it out. And I would go do some video for it. Went there, recorded something, made it look super nice, and then submitted it. And then like the next day of class, he's like the whole class like clapped. Like it was insane. They was just like, dude, this video is amazing. Like and then that same week they wanted to hire me to work for the paper. And so never in my life would I have ever thought I'd work for a college newspaper the way that I did. And then from there, that opened up so many different like opportunities for me, like going and like for working for like Sporting KC for a little bit. I worked for like the Chiefs for a little bit, and then like going to the parades and stuff like that, like being at the front of all those people. Like it just, yeah, just college has opened up so many different opportunities for me. Like it was insane. But yeah.
Also, clearly you've worked across several different fields. You've done the journalism gig, you've done sports, you're a pro at weddings, you did my graduation pictures. And each of them are so different, right? Like what you want to capture in weddings is different than what you want to capture in sports.
Yeah.
But what do you love most about capturing all of them, and how do you integrate it into your like practice?
I think the one thing that I loved about just all of it together is just the people. Like I'm such a big people person. Like I can talk to like pretty much anyone. And for me, it's like, that was like the most underlining thing is just like, for example, like a couple, like I can't, like if the couple isn't comfortable with you, then the pictures aren't going to turn out that good. And then same thing when it goes to like in journalism, like more specifically, like with all like the Palestine like protests that were happening in Kansas City, like I would go from the paper to go capture all that. And so like capturing just all this emotion within these protests of like all these people, that was a big thing. And then with sports, it's like trying to capture like this insane movement and slowing it down into one picture. It's like there's so many things, but I think the underlining thing for me was just like I love just being around people, like getting to work with like all the other creatives that were on the field or next to me, also reporting the situation, or even just like families of like brides and like grooms. And so like just getting close to people was just like my favorite thing, because I was just like, oh, I get to like hear their story, I get to hear like how they all came about. And so I think that was like my biggest thing. So yeah.
I feel like it's more, at least through what I've seen of your work, it's more about capturing the story than it is about capturing a picture.
Oh yeah.
Like there's so much that goes on in the picture, even if it's just like a picture of like a bride and groom. Like there's just, you can visibly tell that there's like a story behind this. And that's like a very special talent to have, of being able to just capture more than just like a singular moment.
No, yeah, exactly. And it's I would say it's one of those things, it's like you don't really focus on just the couple. Like you really kind of have to focus on like their story. And that's why like for me, like I always try to ask like all these important questions. So like, when did you guys meet? Like, how did you guys meet? Like all these type of things. It really shows you like what type of people they are. And then like cracking jokes with them and stuff like that makes their picture just like so much more than just a still image, you know? And like if they're laughing, like they're having fun with one another, then it just makes it so much better.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm curious how you turned photography and videography into like your full-time thing. Like that's what you graduated, like that is what you do now.
Yeah.
And
oh man. I mean, I would say it definitely wasn't something overnight, like at all.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't. I mean, it's taken me like 8 years pretty much to do, like to get to the point where I'm at. I mean, it took a lot of like obviously staying up super late, sitting in front of a computer, just editing, stuff like that. Like always trying to like get new equipment, adapt new like styles and stuff like that, changing your style, so many things. But I think another like important thing was like collaborating. Like you really have to like learn to work with others and like learn from others as well. And so like I think early on for me, like when I was first starting out, like there's this one guy here locally, his name is Raja Thind, and I was that's my homie. I love him to death, a super sweet guy. And he was like my mentor, I would say, very early on. So like he taught me quite a bit. Like he knew him, and like in his background, like he was into photography, and so I learned a lot from him. And so like I think that is like one important thing, is just like having to like, you can piggyback off of others and just like learn from them as well.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like that also helped me just like spark my own stuff, like my own interests and things. And so yeah, like my business, like it started out like super early. Like I would just take portraits and stuff like that, and then from portraits it went into just like couples, and then from couples it went to like sports and journalism, and then just like all this stuff. And so yeah.
What's your favorite thing to capture if you had to choose just one?
Oh man,
I know it's a hard question.
that is really tough. I would say, I think probably being at like games for sure has been like really fun. Like being in front of like all these like Chiefs players has been great. Like that's insane. But I think for me, I would say definitely journalism. 100%. I would say that.
Please.
It's so, I know you wouldn't expect it, but I think just being in that field made me appreciate journalism so much more. Like my writing skills developed so much better. Like writing like for a newspaper is so different than just writing just in general.
Yeah.
And so I think capturing images was also the same thing. Like you're not just looking for like the perfect picture, you're looking to like capture the essence of like a whole event.
Right.
And so for me, like during like the Palestine protests, like I remember going there and like talking to these people directly, trying to get quotes. And then that was like another like element on top of like what I had to go do. But then trying to like capture like their emotion, like uh their ability to speak up against like oppression and stuff like that. And so like trying to capture that was so much fun.
I even remember when you did pictures for our annual event from home to here. There's just one picture of, or two, these two pictures. It's like literally two of my favorite pictures of all time of just my mom.
Oh yeah.
And she was tearing up.
Yep.
And I think it was during my speech. And like you can visibly see her wiping her tear. And I know the story behind that picture.
Yeah.
But it was just so beautifully captured of just like, whoa, like there's a whole lot going on.
Yeah. I mean, just like those type of moments specifically, like where it's just
high for it too.
yes, you have to be paying attention. And I think it's like those little details like matter the most, especially for you. Like you remember just those two pictures out of like the hundreds, you know? And so like that specifically is like what I always have like tried to look out for. Like, yeah, I show up to a thing to just like kind of do pictures in general, but like when you're looking out for those small details, like they matter the most. And so yeah,
for sure. Well, I'm curious about how, I guess, you balanced doing photography while you were in high school, in college.
okay.
Why you're like, oh, this is about to get deep.
Low-key,
But also doing school. I know you had a few jobs.
yeah.
I know you had family responsibilities. These are all assumptions that I'm assuming you're all correct.
No, I will say like early on, like, okay, I'll start off with high school. In high school, I did work like a lot of different jobs. But so my family used to have a good sense at that time. So I was always working there, like saving extra cash and stuff like that for camera equipment, etc. And then from there, like I would say out of high school, I worked at Sam's Club for like 3 years. And so, oh my God, that was rough. That was brutal. I'm not gonna lie. Well, it was also during like prime COVID too, like when that happened. And so like it was like 1 year without COVID and then like 1 year during COVID. And so during that time, I was working overnights and then I was also going to school and then I was also like coming back home to take care of my grandpa. So like trying to balance that, like I didn't really have at that time I didn't really have like a creative like drive because I was just always making sure that I had to come home and just take care of him. And like if that was like kind of taking him to the restroom, kind of like bathing him, feeding him, whatever it was, like I was gonna do it. And so I was like, if he did it for us, like when we were little, like I'm gonna do it for him. And so like working and then doing that was big responsibility for me. Like I just wanted to be there in those final moments for him. And so but then I think after he had passed and everything, like that's when I was still working at Sam's Club and everything. And then like life started to like obviously change, like kind of to adapt without like your main supporter there. And so I worked still at Sam's Club. I was still there working overnights. I was still going to college like during the day. And then I would slowly get like shoots and stuff like that for like clients and stuff. So I think it was just about like time management. Like, so time management is just like such a big thing. And so like learning how to use a calendar and stuff like that, like I don't regard like my little like I have a paper calendar. Like that's like the only way I do it.
Really?
I go.
Well, we need to put you on Google Calendar.
No, I love Google Calendar, but like I was always so just, oh, let me write it on the calendar and then just have it there, and then I know where it's at. And so then like I would also put it in my phone, like on Google and stuff like that. But just having a physical copy where I like can cross stuff out. And so
it gives you the gratification.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, I did that shoot. All right, there we go. We're good. And so, but yeah, I think just time management was just like a really big thing. And then when I felt like I was getting restricted by my job, so then I quit. And then it's so funny. I like how I went from that and then I went and got my CDL just out of the blue. So I started then helping my mom and dad with their trucking company. So I would drive every now and then to help them out. And then it gave me some more time to like also like get more gigs and stuff like that, which I needed the time for. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. And now you're here. And
now
doing it full time, right?
It's crazy
This
how
is the journey. This is what we're doing. Just photography.
I would say 100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's been great. Like, it's opened up so many different avenues for me, like outside of just what I thought I was going to do. So, and plus, like, having a college degree also has opened up a lot of doors for me outside of what I'm doing right now. So, yeah, it's been good though.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you would like to add?
Oh, man. I mean,
Or ask my
anything. If you have anything else, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
anything you want to add before?
Ooh.
Just about like your journey.
I'm trying to think.
Other.
I would say, my grandpa was a huge support system for me. And I think just him being there, like, I still like think about him till day. And so, yeah, I think he just like him not being here anymore has like always been just like such a big thing for me. And like I always think about him every now and then. And I think that's like one big thing like I would like always try to say to everyone is just like just while the time that you have with your loved ones, just enjoy it as much as you can.
Yeah.
Like, you never know when their time might come. It might come sooner, it might come later, but like you just don't know. So I'm like, just appreciate the time that you have with them, especially because I'm like that last 2 years like really made me appreciate life so much more, and just like appreciate that like the advice, the information, and everything that he taught me, because it like really did solidify like all the stuff that I'm doing now. So like honestly, it's to him. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like it was all him. So yeah.
Yeah. I think we can all learn from the relationship you have with your grandfather about respecting time with our elders and honoring what they had to give to us, and also being able to live up to their sacrifices and all that they've done for us to be able to live this life. So
Yeah.
my last question when we end this out is, what is a message you would give to your younger self?
Oh,
You're like, oh, I wasn't expecting this.
I wasn't expecting that. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's a deep question. Oh, I might need a minute.
We can add the SpongeBob meme where like,
Yeah, 5 minutes later. Yeah. Eternity later. Oh man. What would I tell my younger self? Like how younger? Like middle school, like, or
you decide.
anything?
You decide.
I think one thing I would tell my like younger self is to just keep your head up. 100%. Is to like just don't stop trying what you think is right, you know? Just like continue to keep pushing yourself as hard as you can. Continue to keep putting your best foot forward. Even if you know you're gonna fail, like just keep trying. Don't let anyone doubt you. Like, you're in this imperfect world, like you're still perfect. Like, it's okay. Shooting for perfection is great, but you're gonna get shot down. It's okay. It's gonna happen. But like, you gotta just always keep trying. You have to, because like if it's not for yourself, you gotta keep trying for someone else. So like, even if it's like your family, your grandparents, loved ones, anything. So I think that's like one thing I would tell myself. But yeah.
Cool.
So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I think there's a lot that we can take away from all that you've shared with us, whether it's entrepreneurship and your creative hustle, or managing several different things at once, and pursuing your dreams and having a great relationship with your elders. So thank you for being here, and stay tuned for our next episode.
Thank you.
Yeah.